and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to the Off the Dome show. I am your host here again, Thomas Brown Jr. We're doing it a little bit different today, different time and everything else in between. But it's all right. We're going to try something a little bit different than the usual. So we'll have a whole lot to dive into today. Have some NFL free agents some free agent signings that are happening around the league. So excited to dive into that. We got a whole lot going on in the NBA as well that we're going to talk about. But this episode is going to be very, very different simply because it is an Ask Me Anything episode. So if you have any questions as we go throughout this episode of the Off the Dome show, you are more than welcome to. It could be about anything, everything. Nothing's off limits. So that's how we're gonna that's how we're gonna do this thing today. So all right. So first, okay, so first of all, I kind of want to. Okay, I saw the Lakers and the Knicks play last night. Fantastic game, win to overtime. Unfortunately, Jalen Brunson got hurt late, messed up his ankle, and the Lakers won. And I think it's kind of crazy because I'm still trying to get accustomed to the fact that Luka Doncic is on the Los Angeles Lakers. I know the trade has been weeks now, but it still doesn't feel right seeing him in a Lakers uniform. And now he's getting really comfortable. Really, 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 really comfortable. And that's not okay for the rest of the league. I ain't gonna lie. Lakers won 8 straight last night. LeBron and Luka combined for 63 points. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Last week on the weekly doses spaces that we have on X, which, if I'm not mistaken, we're gonna have them on Wednesdays now. So this upcoming Wednesday we'll have that. But dog, we were talking about Luka and the trade and the impact of it. And I had said that a lot of people are focused on the wrong thing. I'm like, the fact that everybody is all of a sudden talking about his weight as if it's an issue again and all this other stuff. Like, I don't care if you 350. You dropping 28, 8 and 8. It don't even really matter. So I'm watching the Lakers play, and by the way, this is with them not having the Mark Williams trade go through somehow. So they're doing this with Jackson Hayes at center, which I will remind you guys is not the easiest thing to do when Jackson Hayes, for most of his career, has been a bench player at best. So it's been surreal how the Lakers have been able to conjure up the forming of LeBron and Luka to play well together, along with the rest of the team. And we gotta give a huge shout out to JJ Redick, because he was catching a lot of slander at the beginning of the year because I don't know, it was the beginning of the year and the Lakers haven't capped off a whole bunch of wins like they're doing right now. And so everybody was basically saying, like, he's a fraud, you should never left podcasting and all this other stuff. And like, you can do that, you can try to say that, but at the same time, JJ know what he doing, bro. JJ know what he doing. JJ know what he doing, and this is great. I'm actually really proud of him of how he's been able to coach this team, given all the circumstances that surround LA. You got to remember, like, it wasn't too long ago that a lot of these guys, have lost their homes, with the fires and everything. So there's still a lot of turmoil that they're having to endure every single day, trying to figure all this stuff out. And they're all rallying around each other, and it is paying off a lot. So it's one of those things, man, where I'm looking at the Lakers right now, and they are second in the West. Wow. It'll be interesting to see how it all kind of unfolds with them, especially as we get close to the playoffs. I think with them winning these close games now, I think you're starting to see just how prepared they are for the big moments, which is something that Lakers teams, regardless of how far they went in the playoffs in years past, you wasn't really sure about, with Darvin Ham at the helm. So with JJ, you're watching a lot of these close games with the Lakers, and they're pulling them out. And they have one of the best records in the NBA in playing in these type of games. And these are some of the games that you're going to have, in the playoffs when you're going against these tough matchups. So it'll be interesting to see how they pan out going into the playoffs. But what I saw last night was spectacular. It really was. And y'all worried about the wrong thing, dog. Y'all worried about the wrong thing. Excuse me. That's all I gotta say. Y'all worried about the wrong thing. So to go from that to also discuss the opposite end of the spectrum, unfortunately, is Kyrie Irving tore his ACL a couple days ago. So he's out for the rest of the season. And Dallas, who has already been without Gafford, who suffered a grade 3 MCL strain, if I'm not mistaken. Anthony Davis with the doctor issue. Kyrie with the ACL. This team is done for the rest of the year. Like, there's no sense in trying to rush people back or whatever case may be. Their season's over. The problem with it is that this is what the whole NBA world was concerned about. And it's happened already. Now, mind you, Kyrie is not 25, 26. He's not in Cleveland, y'all. Like, this is a 31 going on 32 years old Kyrie Irving. And he suffers this injury. It's dog. It's not good. It's not good for them at all. And I think another thing too is that so many times we find ourselves saying, okay, well, if they're healthy, they're going to be a problem. If they're going to be consistent, if they're going to be available, like, there's so many what ifs. And the thing is that sometimes you do have to face the music and be realistic about your roster. And when it comes to the Dallas Mavericks, like, your duo, your dynamic duo it's a proven fact at this point. They're not available. And it's not to any fault of their own, obviously. But that's literally, it's been the case throughout their entire career. Anthony Davis, before the Lakers, was struggling to see the floor. Now, granted, you can also say that had a lot to do with him playing for the Pelicans, but nevertheless, that was the case with Anthony Davis. Kyrie has been nicked up, and he's been dealing with injuries for the longest time. So, he's been battered and bruised for a large majority of this decade, to be honest with you. So that's Kyrie. And then you have this, and it just leads to wonder, like, if you're a Mavericks fan today, like, what are we doing? Seriously. What are we doing right now? Because the tragic part about all of this is that it's one of those things where you wonder, okay, wait. So you mean to tell me that we traded a generational talent? We traded away a guy who we have built the franchise around to the Lakers, out of all people. And what we got in return was a guy who historically hasn't been healthy outside of him being in a Lakers uniform. And we're going to pair him up with a guy who, although he's had a fantastic season, there's no negating that. Kyrie has had a fantastic season this year. Yes. This guy is also having a history of not being available and being healthy on the floor. You paired those two up together and traded away Luka. Like, as a Mavericks fan, I can only imagine, like, what y'all are thinking or saying. It's probably not even age appropriate, I can imagine. So it's one of those things where you're just kind of like, okay, what is this? Like, what's happening now? So yeah, I just, this is crazy. It really is. It really is. So there is a lot to watch and to have to unwrap in regards to that. Because it was crazy, because last week them spaces were going crazy. Like, people were like talking about how Luka is, he don't do this, he don't do that, he's not a great defender, and that's gonna cost the Lakers, and Kyrie was the reason. Bro, it was a whole lot of Luka slander, bro. And it was crazy. And I was just telling people, like, all right, man, boy, okay. All right. Let's see how this pans out. There are people that went as far as to say that the Mavericks were going to be in the conference finals. Like, and then it was like, and this is why I say like the if thing is never going to work, because they said they will make the conference finals if healthy. Yeah, you're asking two of the top guys in the NBA who have issues staying healthy that if they're healthy, they're going to go to the conference finals. Okay. And now here we are, where the Lakers are playing out of their mind, and they're winning 8 straight now. Like, and this is not by fluke either. Like, in the times that they have been winning these games, Luka has not been completely 100% in all these games. Not obviously not health wise, but I'm just talking about in terms of his performance. Like, we're used to him, having at the very least a double-double or something, right? Points, assists, points, rebounds, whatever case may be. We're used to that. We're used to seeing that because that's what he was doing in Dallas. And now we're starting to see that. And he's being efficient too. Like, I'm sorry, y'all. This is not one of those cases where it's like, oh, well, we'll have to see how this goes against. Nah. No. I'm not ruling them out against anybody. That's how well they've been playing, and they deserve it. They deserve it. They earned it. There was a lot of slander on the Lakers this year. And somewhat rightfully so, although, you could say it was a little bit predetermined. They're the second seed in the West, y'all. I don't know what else to tell y'all. So, it's gonna be interesting to see how far the Lakers make it. But and this is technically not even year one of Luka on the Lakers. This is just the beginning. So we'll have to see, man. We'll definitely have to see. But it's very unfortunate how everything has unfolded on Dallas's side of things, because you think about it, Andy Davis came back after he was already injured, came back, and his first game back got hurt. Kyrie the other night, balling his tail off, he tears his ACL. So this whole thing with the Mavericks, like, it is a honest problem, and it is a concern. And if they don't supplement that roster, it may get from bad to worse. I ain't gonna sit here and lie. It may get from bad to worse, and I don't think anybody's ready for that. So we'll wait and see on how that all will turn out. Again, y'all, this is the Ask Me Anything episode of the Off the Dome show. So leave your questions down in the comments below. If y'all have anything to ask, or anything you want to discuss. There is that on the NBA side of things. Also, let me also say this. I've heard noise throughout the season about the Cleveland Cavaliers, and rightfully so. I've heard noise about the Boston Celtics, and rightfully so. I have heard noise about the New York Knicks, and rightfully so. I've heard noise about the Lakers, as we just talked about, rightfully so. I feel like we all need to just take into account that the Thunder is the Thunder. And I'm sorry, man. I do not want to play them. No, I don't. Not at all. I ain't gonna sit here and lie. It is, yeah, no. In all seriousness, nah. This team, man, is from top to bottom is stacked as hell. SGA, Caruso, Chet Holmgren. Now Caruso has been struggling a little bit, but I think he's just trying to find his footing still. Once he does, trust me, it'll be a problem. I can tell you that now. Caruso, Lou Dort, Chet, Hartenstein. You have Wiggins, Isaiah Joe, Jalen Williams, J-Dub. Like, these guys, they play very, very well together. And all the names I listed is in their starting lineup and in their bench. And it's just one of those things, man, where like I feel like and it's just fair, you know, especially when it comes to the playoffs, you know, experience does matter and things of that nature. I get that. I really do. But they were also in the playoffs last year. Like, all these guys, except for Caruso, if I'm not mistaken. Like, all these guys were there last year. So they have that under their belt of them being in the playoffs and them winning a playoff series. Like, they experienced that last year. This year, boy, I'ma just say look out. That's all I'm saying. Because this team is no joke. It is stacked. And I feel like people are not talking about them enough because of their youth. But trust me, they are legit. Too legit to quit, if I may say so to myself. The Thunder is still they still exist, y'all. That's all I'm saying. I've heard noise about all these other teams, and I hear you. I really do. Boy, that Thunder team from top to bottom is very deep. So it'll be interesting to see how that all plays out in the West. Boy. Now on to the NFL. Oh boy. Okay, so first of all, DK Metcalf asked for a trade. And I think that the Seahawks are forgetting what year we're in, because I saw a report yesterday saying that that the asking price is too high for some of these teams that are trying to get him. And I can only imagine what that asking price is. It's probably something silly like 2 first rounders, a second, and a fourth. I can imagine. But the problem is, bro, that would have been warranted if this was like 2 years ago, 3 years ago. Not the case here. Not the case at all. And the thing is that the reason why that's not the case is because his production hasn't been the same. The last 2 years, he's finished with 66 receptions. Now, obviously, his yards per catch is going to be extremely high because he's a deep threat, and no one's going to stop a locomotive running as fast as he is when he's downfield. That's just not happening. Okay, but Seattle pivoted last year, like, heavily, and it was kind of crazy. And I can say this because I had DK Metcalf in fantasy last year. He was almost unplayable. because Geno Smith loved him some JSN, Jackson Smith and Jigba. Like that was a lot. And it was kind of crazy how often like Njigba was getting the ball throughout the season. It was crazy. And you just started to see DK just kind of be out of sorts of that offense. Now, obviously, that's not a depiction of him per se, but I think that should have something to account for when you're talking about these teams that are trying to trade for him and what you're looking to get back. Now, teams that could get him, I'm trying to think now. I mean, obviously they wouldn't trade in the division. So Cardinals, Rams, San Fran, those are all out. Although I can't say that because the Jaguars and the Texans traded yesterday. Jaguars traded Christian Kirk for a 7th rounder. So it was like practically nothing. I think that was a whole contract deal. Which was interesting because I could have sworn that Christian Kirk was going to be a free agent. I guess they wanted to make sure they got something back in return. Shout out to the Jaguars for getting something, I guess. But trading in division is probably not going to happen. Doesn't usually happen in the NFL. So trying to think, what are some teams that need a wide receiver? Him in Buffalo could be a problem. Him in Buffalo with Josh Allen, that could be a thing. Him and Keon Coleman. Oh God, him in Baltimore. Oh hell. Okay, wait a second. Baltimore. Okay. Jesus Christ. Zay Flowers, DK Metcalf, Rashad Bateman, Mark Andrews, Isaiah Likely. Yo, nah. Nah, that's kind of filthy. I ain't gonna lie. And he did say, was it? No, that's Devontae Adams. I'm sorry, but I thought he I thought at one point in time he talked about how great it is to play with a guy like Lamar Jackson. So that'd be interesting. Saying that out loud kind of scares me. I ain't gonna lie. But then again, it's Baltimore, so anybody that's at the Baltimore scares me. So Baltimore, that is a good option. Baltimore, Buffalo. I know people aren't going to want to hear this one, but I will say this. And I'm kind of scared to even do this. So I'm going to make sure that I have my volume extremely low when I say this. Guys, if the Kansas City Chiefs make a trade for DK Metcalf, I promise you, it's not going to be pretty for the home team. I can tell you this now. I can I can tell you now. It better not. It better not happen. They better focus all their attention to that offensive line because of what the Super Bowl did to them. But I promise you, if they find themselves getting DK Metcalf, I'm not ready for that, bro. I ain't gonna lie. I'm not ready for that at all. So, yeah. Baltimore, Buffalo. I'm trying to think. Is there any teams in the NFC? I know they probably don't want to trade in conference. Maybe the Lions if they wanted to make a blockbuster trade. Maybe. Oh boy. Oh my God. I don't know how they're gonna afford them, but Amon-Ra St. Brown, DK Metcalf, Sam Laporta, Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery, Jameson Williams. Oh no. I think what are some other teams out there? The Packers. You can do them too. Packers don't have a number one wide receiver. They have a lot of good ones. You could, if the Packers, feel like it, they could trade away one of their guys to Seattle and go from there. You could do them. Ooh. How about this one? This is actually, I didn't even think about this. How about the Buccaneers if they don't bring back Chris Godwin? Mike Evans, DK Metcalf. Oh my God. Bro, Baker's going to have a field day. DK Metcalf, Mike Evans, Cade Otton, Bucky Irving, Rashad White. Boy, no. Him in Tampa. I hope not. But that's the thing about DK, and that's what makes it tricky, is that when you say these teams out loud and the possibilities of him being on those teams, like, that's what makes the asking price somewhat legitimate. But again, this is not 2020 DK Metcalf. This is him coming off a 2024 season where he underperformed, unfortunately. That's what the stats are going to say. And that's what his involvement in the offense is going to say from last year. So it'll be interesting to see what they decide to do in Seattle. Obviously, they decided to release Tyler Lockett, so the wide receiving room is getting thinner and thinner, especially they end up moving DK. But I don't know. I seriously. So you have DK Metcalf. Here's another trade that's going on right now. Obviously, we know about the whole Myles Garrett thing. I feel like the Myles Garrett issue is, like I've talked about in the past, whoever decides to trade for him ultimately has to pay him too. And like, I don't know, the Lions, could they get a Myles Garrett? That's possible. Packers could get him. Commanders could still get him. Although I will say, them taking on Debo's contract was interesting. And then I know I don't even. Okay, it's probably not even possible now, so I can say it. Because it's probably not going to happen. But I mean, it could be Philly. I ain't gonna lie, dog. We find a way to get Myles Garrett. I ain't gonna lie. I think we deserve to be the most hated team this year. I ain't gonna lie. Fair enough. But nope. So, Myles Garrett, that's a whole other thing. But this is another pass rusher who is seeking a trade. Trey Hendrickson. Now, Trey Hendrickson, Cincinnati Bengals pass rusher, as of yesterday, is seeking out trade options. Now, I said this about Cincinnati. I talked about it on the Spaces last week. No, the week before. I'm sorry. I think I'm getting them mixed up. I think, not sure, but between last week or the week before, I talked about this when it came to Cincinnati Bengals. Y'all need to figure this out. Figure it out. Make sure that you pay all of them, because the days of you being cheap and then expecting for y'all to still be relevant is not happening. And Joe Burrow will leave. Like, these guys will leave your team if y'all continue to be the way that y'all are. Y'all had a chance to take care of Jamar Chase. You chose not to. You had a chance to take care of T. Higgins. You chose not to. You had a chance to take care of Trey Hendrickson. Chose not to. So, figure it out. And he's looking for a trade. Look, man, I don't want to hear nothing about, we're not, we don't really have to trade him. No. You're right. You don't have to trade him because you need to pay him. He led the league in sacks. He had 19 and a half sacks, if I'm not mistaken. Led the league in sacks this past season. Figure it the hell out. That's all I got to say. Now, as far as teams who could possibly get him, boy, oh boy. Now, the thing is, you kind of have to look at Trey Henderson, not obviously not in the same light, but in a similar light as Myles Garrett, in the sense of, if you're trading for him, the same scenario with Myles Garrett, you'll have to pay him. And just like Myles Garrett, you do have to account for his age as well. Now, I'm not saying that these guys are, been dealing with injuries and stuff, none of that. But I am saying that these guys are not Micah Parsons. Like, they're not 25 years old. And so, because of that, it's going to be interesting to see how they end up pulling this off. Because Commanders could get them. Commanders could get him. The Chargers, with them not having Joey Bosa now because they released him, Chargers could get him. Obviously, in division is not going to work, so there's that. But hell, maybe the Vikings could be a team that comes out of nowhere. Vikings is a possibility. The 49ers, I hate to say that, the 49ers could, pull some strings and make that happen as well. Sheesh. The Falcons, that's possible because they need defensive help. Wow. There's a lot of. I will say this, because Myles, the thing with Myles Garrett is that Myles Garrett is looking to be on a contending team, so you already just eliminated a whole lot of teams off of that alone. But with Hendrickson, that's not the case. He's trying to get his money, and rightfully so. He's earned it. He's been consistently getting 15 sacks a year, like he's earned it. But the market for him is a lot larger than Myles Garrett just by that alone. So the question is, are you willing to pay him? And does he fit your team? And a lot of these teams I just mentioned are able to do that. So it'll be interesting to see how that works out. But boy, oh boy, wow. Commanders, I talked about the Deebo Samuel trade. Now, as an Eagles fan, is there a possibility that Deebo Samuel could work out for Washington? Yes, obviously. Do I think that is something that can happen immediately? I don't know. Simply because their offensive line is something that they're going to have to fix, and they haven't sorted out yet. So they need to protect Jaden Daniels right now. And yet they traded for Debo. They took most of his money. So they took that contract and they took it with him. And it's one of those things where it's just like, okay, like that's cool that you made this, because this is technically a splashy move. It is. Trading for Debo Samuel, yes, is a splashy move. But at what cost? Like you didn't address the offensive line yet. Are you going to use most of your draft picks towards the offensive line? Are you gonna, like, how are you going to take care of this? Because the way it's looking, it looks like to me that y'all may get maybe one or two guys on the O-line in the draft, or y'all may not even get anybody at all. And y'all still gonna have a whole bunch of guys filling in those spots, which is something that you can't afford to do with Jaden Daniels. So hopefully they end up sorting that out. But I mean, I'm not totally against Washington trading for him. I didn't think that would be a team that would get him. I ain't gonna lie, but hey, they have him. They took his contract. So with that'll be interesting to see how that plays out for the rest of their roster. Obviously for Philly, we re-signed Zach Bond, and I am beyond excited for that. Zach Bond, man, he was fantastic this year for us. And I ain't gonna lie, I thought that it was we might had to pay an arm and a leg for us to keep him, which was probably why I had no problem if we had to just see if we can get somebody in the draft to replace him. But we ended up getting him on a deal that like makes sense. We didn't break the bank totally. Zach Bond, welcome back, baby. We are so glad to have you. So Zach Bond, welcome back to Philly. Chicago's been making some sneaky moves here. Joe Thuney trading with Kansas City for Joe Thuney. They're really serious about building that offensive line. Ben Johnson being the head coach. Those guys, okay. Like, I see what y'all doing. I see what y'all doing over there. And Joe Thuney, they got Jonah Jackson, I think, from the Rams. So they're trying to really bolster the offensive line for Caleb Williams, which I think is something that they had to do. And honestly, that's just how it's going to have to be. Like, this is not the draft to, target the best player available. No, you need to get O-line, D-line, and defense. Like, because you can get wide receiver anywhere. You can get a lot of these positions that you think that they would need or whatever. They have it. Trust me. DJ Moore, Roma Duze. That's your wide receivers. That's it. If you want to grab somebody in free agency for the slot, you can, but that's not a necessity. You don't need to get that in the draft, honestly. You don't have to. So them addressing the offensive line and hopefully the defensive line in the draft or in free agency, I think it's a huge win. I think it's a huge win for Chicago. I really do. Now how it all pans out for the season upcoming, we'll see. But they're doing their thing over there in Chicago, and I'm excited and interested to see how that all pans out. So, that's Chicago for you. By the way, y'all, I know y'all see the title. This is a Ask Me Anything episode. So any questions y'all have for me, or anything y'all want to discuss, we can dive into it. Again, y'all can ask questions, put your questions in the comments, and we can talk about it all day long. That is, but yeah, I don't know, man. This is crazy. This is insane. Now we have the draft coming up. Speaking of the draft, and I think the whole Shedeur Sanders conversation is a little weird to me. I ain't gonna lie. It's a little weird. Like, y'all, I think it's weird because for me personally, like, it's one of those things where it's like, I don't know what else y'all expected from someone who is a son of Deion Sanders. Like, what did y'all think this was gonna be? Y'all thought he was gonna be a politician? Like, no. He's very confident in his abilities, and he's gonna hold his hat on that. And you may not like how he's going about it. I think personally, he could tone it down a notch, but at the same time, like, what'd you expect? This shouldn't be anything new to y'all. Like, my dad been talking confident for years. This is just who he is. I just so happen to be born by, like, he raised me, so y'all know this is coming. And by the way, that's another thing too. A lot of people are acting like Shedeur Sanders, like, wouldn't be a good quarterback in the NFL. Like, he was some scrub in college or something. I don't understand the conversation around that necessarily. I understand that he wasn't, the number one prospect, and you have to get him, all this other stuff. But the idea that people are making it seem like Shedeur Sanders can't play quarterback is kind of crazy to me. Like, nah, he can ball. Trust me, and you'll see when he gets to the league, he gonna show out. Trust me, he will. He will. And when it happens, like, that's it. That's all it has to be. So, yeah, I just think the noise around Shedeur Sanders is a little bit weird to me, because y'all can't act like y'all ain't see this coming. And stop acting like he's like a trash quarterback or something. Like, what are we doing? So I don't know. That's just my thoughts on that. We will go to a commercial break. And when we come back, we got to talk about that thing that happened a couple weeks ago. So we'll be right back.
In 2006, we founded Yeti Coolers with a simple mission: build a cooler we use every day if it existed. One that was built for the serious outdoor enthusiasts rather than for mass discount retailers. One that could take the abuse we knew we'd put it through, out in the field and on the water. One that simply wouldn't break. We decided early on that production innovation would come from necessity and first-hand experience, not from market research and data analysis. Today, Yeti products perform when it matters most. Whether that be an excursion into the remote Alaskan wilderness, chasing redfish on the Gold Coast, or just getting together with friends in the backyard, we make gear that helps you stay out longer, travel farther, and live harder. # built for the wild.
All right, welcome back, I should say, to the Off the Dome show, hosted by yours truly. Again, this is an Ask Me Anything episode. Y'all let me know if I should do this thing a little bit more often. I know we started a little later than usual, but I'm just kind of teetering to figure out what works best as far as for how you guys are able to consume this content for you guys to see and enjoy. So we'll see how that pans out. But again, yeah, y'all have anything y'all want to discuss, talk about, ask about, you're more than welcome to do that in the comments. Just drop a question in the comments below, and we'll dive into it. So man, oh man, oh man. Okay, so for those of you that may know or may not know, I am a huge wrestling fan. Okay, I prominently watch every day. Okay. Elimination Chamber is not for the weak. Okay, I need people to understand that watching that pay-per-view, and yes, I'll keep calling it pay-per-view until the day I die. PLE sounds stupid. I'm not going to keep saying it. Pay-per-view. Okay, that's what I grew up on. That's what it is. A pay-per-view. All right. That pay-per-view was undoubtedly the most jarring thing I've ever experienced. Okay. We saw multiple crash outs. We saw we saw an all-time favorite turn heel. We saw a return, and all right. Let's dive into it. The show starts with the women's elimination chamber match. Now, I actually thought that was very clever. I thought that was very smart by Triple H and his creative team to do that first, because they try to make sure that they give the women the ample amount of time to open the show. And the only way you do that is when if you have them start it off. And so they start off the show. You know, you see the women come out, like, okay, all right, cool, this makes sense, that makes sense, cool. All right. The match is getting ready to start. It's Naomi and Liv Morgan. They are in the ring, and next thing you know, you just hear Jade Cargill's music hit, and she is walking out there with a purpose, and we're like, okay, like, y'all couldn't wait until the middle of the match to do this. But maybe they're on to something that we don't know. And clearly they did, because she comes out there, quite figuratively, storms to the elimination chamber, and instead of her hitting Liv Morgan, knocks out and beats the crap out of Naomi. And I mean beats her to a pulp, slamming her against ironically, slamming her against Bianca's pod repeatedly, over and over and over again. And then started taking her to another pod and started beating her head in over and over and over again. And I'm watching this and I'm like, okay, this is concerning. Like, if WWE wanted to have a representation of don't try this at home, this was it. And mind you, the match didn't even start yet. beating her up. And then on the way out, the Elimination Chamber has a door that they close to start the match or whatever. She places Naomi's head between the door and the chamber. And I feel like at that point she had blacked out. She literally took the door and just slammed it against her head. And it was one of the most jarring moments I have ever witnessed in recent memory. Seriously. It was crazy. I ain't gonna lie. It was crazy. So you had that happen. Then the match starts. Bianca's in shambles. Okay, cool, whatever. The match progresses or whatever. It's a good match. Okay, all the women that's in there, they know what they're doing. They did a great job. Okay. Liv Morgan and Bianca are on the top of one of the chamber pods, and Liv Morgan is playing with Bianca's hair. Now, the old fable is that when it comes to any woman, really, but in this case, a black woman, you do not mess with their hair. We later find out why that is the case. Liv Morgan is like pulling on Bianca's hair, and Bianca takes her hair back, kind of. Yeah, that's how it works. She got the hair and gave the loudest whip to Liv Morgan's side that I think it was illegal. I think that was something that wasn't supposed to happen. It was so loud. How loud was it? It was so loud that they had, okay, this chamber event took place in Canada. I'm in Texas and I heard that shit. Okay, that's how loud that thing was. Okay, and I've said it before, I'll say it again. Shout out to Liv Morgan for some way, somehow taking that shot and having to hang on the gate on Elimination Chamber. Because I promise you, if it was me, it was me. If that had happened to me, there's no questions about it. I'm falling straight off the chamber pod. I swear I am. I don't care. I'm falling off the pod. You can pin me 1, 2, 3. Get me the hell up out of there because I'm hurting. Like, for real. This is crazy. This is crazy. She was able to just be hanging on the chamber pod like it was nothing, and then she eventually fell off. I know if that happened to me, nah, buddy. Nope. Hell nah. I'm falling off. Pin me 1, 2, 3. Let me go. Because I'm gonna need it. I'm gonna need all the medical attention in the world. But nah. They fought until the very end, and they were the last two in that match. Some way, somehow. I don't know. I don't know. Liv is a psycho. But Bianca wins that match, and obviously, like, she's kind of, out of sorts because of what happened earlier on and everything. So that was all that. Then later on, you have the Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn unsanctioned match. That match, man, was also not for the weak. Steel chairs were used, obviously. Tables were getting utilized, and guys were getting put through said tables. There was a steel chair that was covered in barbed wire, and that was used in this match. Okay. I was watching this match and I was like, I feel like I don't need to be watching this. It was so gruesome. It was so gruesome. It was so grueling, but it was so personal. And that's exactly what matches like this need to be. And honestly, and I've seen a lot of people, I've seen some people say this. The only thing that this match was missing, and I don't even think that it really needed it, to be honest with you, because of how much carnage that was happening, was blood. Like, some of the spots that happened in that match, somebody should have been bleeding. Like, for real. It was one of those numbers. But yeah, they had to be a little bit of blood going on, but of course they had to save the blood for the end. They didn't want to overdo it, although that match in particular was not overdoing it. It was very justified. And then, and you know, the match is over. Kevin Owens beats Sami Zayn, and Kevin Owens is, you know, really trying to end Sami Zayn again by exposing the concrete on the outside, and he's getting ready to, it looked like he was getting ready to do a package pile driver. I don't know what is up with him in doing that move, but it was illegal before he started using it, and now all of a sudden he just does it normally now. Whatever. And as he's about to do that, you hear, I hear voices in my head. They talk to me. They understand. Randy Orton comes out there, and he ain't waste no time. He got out there. Kevin Owens is waiting for him in the ring, and Randy Orton beats him up. I'm like, yes, 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 yes. And he has a steel chair in hand. We're like, okay, all right, he's gonna use a steel chair. Then he waits, and he chucks the steel chair out the ring, and he backs up. And when I saw that, I was like, oh no, he's getting ready to punt him to oblivion. Obviously, all the security and everybody got in the way, so he didn't end up punting him. But that moment, all that was crazy. All that was crazy. Then you had the men's elimination chamber match, which was fantastic, very star-studded. You had John Cena, you had CM Punk, you had Seth Rollins, you had Drew McIntyre, you had Logan Paul, you had all these guys in there, and it was a fantastic match. We're just gonna fast forward to the end. So, okay, first of all, it's down to Seth Rollins, CM Punk, and John Cena. Now, for those of you that don't know, CM Punk and Seth Rollins, well, Seth Rollins really hates CM Punk, like, a lot. Like, this has been brewing for years. Okay, he never wanted him to show up in WWE, all that. Hates him, okay? And, so, at one point in the match, you know, Seth Rollins, because of his rage for CM Punk, wanted him all to himself. And so he puts Cena through one of the pods. Like, he power bombs him through the pod. And Cena's just laid out. He is out. And instead of him pinning Cena so that way he could have CM Punk to himself, he decided to go right to CM Punk. And they start brawling. They start attacking. And next thing you know, unfortunately, because of that decision, Cena pops up after a while, gives Seth Rollins the AA, the attitude adjustment, and CM Punk hits the go to sleep. 1, 2, 3. Seth is out of there. So we thought. So CM Punk, John Cena, they embrace. It's a fantastic, like it was like the time stands still sort of thing. Like that's how great of a moment it was. They're brawling. They're having a fantastic one-on-one, and you get towards the end. and Cena's getting ready to put him in the STF, and CM Punk is trying to escapes, and Seth Rollins hits him with the stomp on the Elimination Chamber flooring, which was so brutal because it went like he didn't even. I mean, there's no other way to brace that, but his face really got the brunt of that, and it was terrible. And Cena, like without hesitation, just started like immediately put him back in the STF, and CM Punk faded away. It's kind of crazy. He passed out. Okay, so CM Punk, so Cena wins and everything. Then Cody Rhodes music hit. Cody Rhodes, Cena, they're going against each other at WrestleMania. Okay, the whole shebang. Okay, so Rhodes coming out there, talking to Cena and Rhodes. They're talking back and forth to each other, basically, getting themselves prepared for the match at WrestleMania. All good vibes. Pretty cool. And then first of all, Travis Scott comes out there with Fiend being played in the background, and I thought we was gonna have a whole concert. I ain't gonna lie. And then some way, somehow, they perfectly transitioned that song into The Rock coming out there. And The Rock, Travis Scott walking to the ring. We're like, what the hell is going on? And The Rock is like, hey, the time is now. I'm going to embrace you as my champion. And I want your soul. I need your soul. That's what he tells Cody. And Cody responds by saying that you can't take my soul because I've already devoted my soul in my heart and my time into this business, into the canvas, in this ring, to the fans. And he goes on to tell The Rock, go fuck yourself. And the crowd erupts. And Cena's jumping for joy. We're like, oh, okay, cool. All right, that's cool, whatever. The Rock does nothing throughout all this. He just sits there. He's like, okay. You don't even say a word. He don't do nothing. And Cena and Rhodes embrace. All you see is The Rock do this. Cena looks at him. And Cena's a bad guy now, y'all. He low blows Cody Rhodes. He beats him up with his dad's watch. Beats him up with a microphone. Beats him up with the championship. Then Travis Scott fucking smacked his eye shut. And then The Rock took his weight belt that had Cody's soul on it and decided to whip him with the belt. There's been a whole lot of whipping going on this pay-per-view. Whips him with the belt, and with the beatdown that he's been receiving, Cody Rhodes is bleeding, and Cody, oh my god, The Rock took Cody's blood off of his face and smeared it against the belt. and held it up high as if he just, you know, experienced the sacrifice of a lifetime. And I ain't gonna lie, man, this is crazy. This is all crazy. Today is Friday, so Friday Night SmackDown is happening tonight, 8 Eastern time. I am going to be watching the show because I'm pretty sure Cody's going to have a lot to say. I'm pretty sure they might mess around and have John Cena do something on tonight's episode of the show. I don't know what to make of what's going to happen tonight or going forward for that matter. This is crazy. This is insane. So, boy, no, nope. This is insane. So, yeah. I implore you guys to watch Friday Night SmackDown tonight. 8, again, it's 8 Eastern on USA, if I'm not mistaken. I get it mixed up. There's been so many moving pieces over the years. USA Network. This is crazy. This is so crazy. Friday Night SmackDown is going to be huge. It really is. And I hope Cody is really enraged. I don't want to see, $1 million suit Cody. Nah, man. He needs to show up there angry, pissed off, something. Like I need to see it where like he's just hitting crossroads on everyone he sees. Like I need to see something like that. Seriously. Like he needs to be escorted out the building. That's just how, enraged he is. But wow. Crazy. I never thought I would see the day that John Cena is a bad guy. He is a heel. Bro. Oh my God, bro. I'm still trying to get used to this, and this happened. Wow. I'm still trying to get used to this, y'all. I ain't gonna lie. This happened last weekend. It feels a little bit longer than that, but anyways, yeah. It's gonna be crazy, man. It is gonna be crazy. So yeah, tune in to Friday Night SmackDown if you don't have any other plans or whatever. Friday tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern. I think it's gonna be worth the watch for sure. So yeah, I got nothing. I really don't. But yeah, I just want to say thank you for tuning in this episode of the Off the Dome show. I am your host, Thomas Brown Jr. You can follow me at _ terrific Tom _ because it's terrific around here. I'm sorry, it's infinite around here. Jeez, can't even get my phrases right. On X, on Instagram, that's where you can find me. That's where you can follow me. If you want to talk about anything that's going on in wrestling or anything going on in the NFL, NBA, we could easily chop it up and dive into it. So that's where you can follow me at. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Like, comment, subscribe, and wow. I will see y'all next week. We might keep it at, we might do it at the same time next week. We'll see. But again, thank y'all for tuning in, all the comments throughout the show. So thank y'all so much, and I'll see you soon. See you next week. Love you guys. Oh, whoops.